Good afternoon to all the friends present here. My friend, chairman of the NIT, made a mention of the way technology was used to manage the effect of the cyclone. I was part of the team that was helping the Honorable Chief Minister at that time to put together the various pieces of information and make it meaningful for decision making. It was in 24 hours that as the cyclone was seen on the radar, within 24 hours it was hit. We set about designing the portal which could bring together the spatial data and non-spatial data together into one meaningful decision-making platform. 24 hours, we worked round the clock for a few days thereafter also to completely stabilize it and then start making use of it. Each person whose house was damaged, partially, fully, whose farm was hit and damaged, crop was damaged partially, fully. Each asset was mapped, identified, and it's available in the Hudud portal, which, in retrospect, I told the Honorable Chief Minister that we should make it into a generic product because this country is not, infrequently visited by disasters of this type. So why should we reinvent the wheel? So that is by way of connecting with what Rajendra has just now said. Let me spend the next few minutes on what we are going to do or what we are doing with the GIS in the state of Andhra Pradesh. There is already, it's not as if we are starting with a clean slate, and a lot of work has been done already over the last 2 decades. And way back in the late 80s, I was collector of a district, and I see, despite the glaring lights, I see Dr. R.S. Rao sitting there, and we were working on how to use this technology for planning the watersheds development in the Anantapur district. So ever since that time, a lot of work was done and how to make it. There was a meeting which our Honorable Chief Minister had with the then Chairman ISRO, Dr. Radhakrishnan. Pursuant to that, he said, you have a committee and then come up with recommendations, which we did. So I'll share some thoughts about that. And it is time that we have a policy. These efforts need to fall in place in a framework. So what should that policy look like? And lastly, how can you build an enterprise architecture in which GIS plays a key role? This, of course, this is a very busy slide or difficult to read, but I only wanted to list out the prioritization done by us along with the scientists of ISRO of the work that has already been done, how to take it to the people, how to make it useful to the people and to the departments and to the planners. Various applications in the area of agriculture, for instance, seasonal condition monitoring, are we going to be hit by a drought and so on, output forecasting, land cover mapping, soil health mapping and using it for better advice to the farmer and so on. And in the irrigation sector, number of applications have been attempted. And how do you monitor the development of command areas under the various major medium irrigation systems? Tank information. There are tens of thousands of tanks, both in Telangana and Andhra and in these parts of the country. So how do you map it and how do you make more gainful use of that? Watershed management, as I said earlier, and so on. In addition, you can map all the assets of the government, be it the schools, various educational institutions, healthcare institutions, roads, networks, parks, and tourism spots and power. So that's one more thing. And also the parcel level maps that can be generated. So these 12 applications we have recommended now as a committee, and then this year we'll be focusing on how to operationalize, how to take them to the people, how to enlarge some of these projects. So more of this you can see in the year 2015, definitely. Coming to the second part, instead of picking up some project here and some project there, how can you create a policy and a framework that makes it possible to be done on a day-to-day and systematic manner? So this draft of this policy has been prepared now as I talk, and then in the next few weeks we'll process it for public consultation and then improving it further before it is approved by the government. So these are the various stages through which the GIS life cycle, you can call it, goes through, starting with imaging and ground level surveying, ground truthing, then mapping, setting standards, which is very important because different departments need to talk to each other horizontally and vertically, and creating the various layers of GIS, and then sharing, and ultimately proof of the pudding is in eating. How do you share that with those who are likely to be benefited with that, impacted by that data, is the ultimate point. Number 5 is very important that way. Like in the case of Hudud, we were forced into using that data within a span of 24, 48 hours. So the nature has made us, pushed us to a corner, but that's not the way. It is by design that we should, not by accident, not by a disaster, that we should be pushed into such action. So that is the provocation for us to think of having a policy in place. Besides this, to make it work, we need to have a governance structure, and the policy will spell it out. And also a portal which will take this, like Bhuvan, for instance. On the same lines, at the ground level, how do you make it available to the public at large so that more development can take place, more usage can take place there. So this is just about the policy that is around the corner as far as AP is concerned. I think even at the national level, the thinking is going on. And as Secretary, Department of IT, I was part of the team along with Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, and Earth Sciences, Shailesh, who were all there. And then National GIS Mission was conceived of at the national level with the same thinking that I have just been talking about in the last few minutes. So this is soon going to be a reality, the policy. And I wanted to share that what is the enterprise view of IT and enterprise view of GIS. Here is what we have designed in the case of Andhra Pradesh. This is the enterprise architecture, one view of the enterprise architecture that has been designed with a number of layers: infrastructure layer, support layer, and core data layer. That's where I would like you to see. If you see and then the layers above that, the establishment productivity layers and some cross-cutting applications, sectoral applications, and so on. So it has about 50 components. Each is a huge state-level project by itself, some of which we already achieved, like the e-cabinet is already a fact of life, and state portal, e-office we have launched, core dashboard is launched, and along with NIIT, we are doing this HRMS and financial management together. Those two blocks together is going to be launched in a few weeks' time from now. So part of it is done already, and part of it will be done. But the big point I'm driving home is that you need to have an enterprise view of the entire thing. Each block there should be able to talk to each other block in the diagram. That's how we are designing this. Currently, we are working with Wipro to take it to the final level of detail. It's available on our website, which I have displayed in the last slide of mine here. So from the perspective of this conference, the GIS we made it as a core element in the entire fabric of IT here. So a number of programs and number of initiatives and number of benefits that will accrue will depend on how well you design and orchestrate that GIS as a core data element. So this is what I would like to mention, and we are on the way of realization of this year. Now, last slide is that as part of the enterprise architecture, we have outlined, the document is also available on our website. These are the 14 areas which have been identified for application of the GIS concepts and technologies: urban development, smart cities, mining, forests, environment, disaster management, like Hudud I mentioned earlier, and a host of decision support systems, agriculture, fisheries, rural development, planning, water resource management, traffic management, public assets management, like land and buildings and roads and other public assets that exist. So this is the very big canvas for us, huge opportunity for us to work together with the industry and make a meaningful contribution to the society through this. So I hope that the conference is going to discuss several of these in technical sessions and will be enriched by your discussions and the proceedings of this conference. Thank you very much. And this is the website where you can find the documents relating to our enterprise architecture, as well as the policies that we have come up with. That is apit.ap.gov.in. Thank you.